So hi, my name is Yvonne Tran. I am the Teaching and Learning Librarian at Nevada State College. Today's session will be about my efforts and the library's efforts to collaborate with faculty to integrate information literacy through faculty development. And in our case, the faculty development was a workshop where faculty created or adapted an assignment with a research component. Some takeaways I hope you get from today's session are ways to collaborate with faculty and how you can adapt maybe like a similar workshop to your setting and needs. So, and to do that, I'll first give some brief context about my institutional setting. I'll discuss my approach to the faculty development workshop where we're integrating information literacy into their assignments. I'll give an overview of the workshop and the collaboration that came from it. And then I'll close out the session with takeaways and how you can use it to adapt it to your setting and needs. So it's important to mention that I am using my library and college as an example, and I acknowledge that my approach may not work for everyone. But with that being said, I do believe that you can apply parts of my approach in the workshop, especially the ways to collaborate and work with faculty to promote information literacy. Okay, so a little bit about Nevada State. So we are located in Henderson, Nevada. If you're unfamiliar with where that is, we are in the Las Vegas area. So we are a fairly young institution. We were established in 2002. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary. We are also a growing institution. We are one of the fastest growing colleges in the nation. We actually had a 95% change in enrollment from fall 2016 to fall 2020. We are also a diverse institution. We have a diverse and largely underserved student population of just about a little over 7,000 students. About half of those are first-generation college students. And then just a little fun fact about me, I graduated from Nevada State and I was a first-generation college student. So it's been a full circle moment for me. The college is also designated as a minority serving institution, a Hispanic serving institution, and an Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander serving institution. And so then I'm going to just talk a little bit about the Mary Dean Martin Library. So we are Nevada's first digital library. The Mary Dean Martin Library was also a recipient of the ACRL Excellence in Academic Libraries Award winner in the college category. We were the first Hispanic serving institution to win the award in the college category and only the second public institution to do so. And then I wanted to highlight that we are a very small team. So within a very small team, we have 5 full-time librarians who have functional positions and do liaison work in assigned subject areas. For example, our electronic resources librarian is also the liaison librarian for communication, psychology, math, and film studies. I am the teaching and learning librarian. I am also the nursing liaison librarian. So all 5 of us, we teach information literacy sessions, as well as meet with students for research consultations as part of our liaison work. We're always thinking about how we can have the most impact with a small team and balance our responsibilities in different areas. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our guiding values for liaison work, because this is what influenced my approach to this faculty development workshop to integrate information literacy. The first value is impact. We want to improve classroom teaching and learning. Our second value for our liaison work is relationship driven, right? We want to develop relationships with faculty in our assigned areas. And then our third value is just being student-centered. I think this is a really important one for us, is really supporting student success by partnering with the classroom instructors and the faculty in the assigned areas. And then I'm sorry, this picture is a little blurry. I was hoping it'd be a little clearer, but I wanted to show you, this is from our library's quiet study room. And in the far distance, like, behind all that haze is the Las Vegas Strip. So we're not very close to it, but we can see it from our library. Okay, so I want to discuss a little bit about integrating information literacy, and really why I embarked on this workshop. So I think that we can all understand that our students are drowning in information, right? There's so much of it, there's so much information available, and not all of it true. I asked myself how can I, as a librarian, right, help students efficiently and effectively search through all of it and discern what is credible. So that really, guided me as I worked through how I would put together this workshop. So I do have a short prompt, and if you could, put your answers in the chat box. So in what ways are you or your institution teaching and promoting information literacy? The chat box, I'm so sorry. Let's see, that wasn't what I wanted to do, but. So sorry, I'm like, I can't find the chat box. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Did you find it? We haven't.
Yes.
I can read them off to you. Okay.
Thank you so much. I was like, I can't find the chat box.
Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, like it's looking weird for now, but I'm just going to read off some of the ones. So they've integrated into curriculum goals. Okay, that's awesome. Okay. Hillary said she works mostly with graduate students, but the last job was part of an embedded program, first year English. So we worked hard to talk about selecting and evaluating resources. That's awesome. Okay, mostly one-shot instruction, which is what we do as well. Have some online tools such as videos, but could do more for online classes, which has been growing in recent years. Yes, I definitely want to address that. And then workshops are open to all. That's great. Yes, and then instruction requests have also declined since the pandemic. We have been feeling that as well too. And then one shot mostly, a few instructor requests. Yeah, so that is actually what we are experiencing as well at Nevada State College. A one shot, like, one shot instructions, research consultations, but not a lot of one shot instruction requests since a lot of our classes have moved online, and I'll address that. So thank you for your comments and your feedback. Okay, so I think that everything that was mentioned in the chat is great, right? As librarians, it's important to examine a variety of approaches and promote information literacy through multiple avenues if we can. And then, as I mentioned earlier, right, our librarians teach information literacy sessions, and we also do research consultations with students. And so I was thinking about, like, what else we could do to promote information literacy. And so these were some of the questions that shaped my approach. So one regarding like library instruction, right? Could more faculty benefit from this service? And so we know the answer to this question is yes, right? And you know, some things I had noticed within our liaison work was that there were, you know, synchronous classes that could benefit from a library instruction session to help students with their research assignment. And then about like research consultations, I asked myself, how can we best help students in these consultations? Because I noticed that there were some faculty who taught, you know, online classes, and they assigned their students to meet with us to talk about their research assignment. But in some of these consultations, the students sometimes didn't have a clear idea on why they were meeting with us. And so, you know, I want to see how we can help students get the most out of these 30-minute research consultations. I also wanted to expand support. So like I mentioned earlier, you know, there are a lot of online classes now, right? You know, while it does vary from semester to semester, about a third of our class offerings are online. And then as you saw from that picture earlier, we are not near the strip. We're not really centrally located. So where a location can be a barrier. We also have a diverse student body population. So having courses offered in multiple modalities is important for our students. So I wanted to know, how can we support students in online classes? And then one, you know, with anything that we do, my liaison work is how can we be impactful, right? Can this approach be effective and sustainable? And then this aligns with our guiding values. So like with all of that in mind, and trying to make an impact with the time and small team that we have, I decided that a workshop could possibly address these questions, right? I invited all faculty, so full-time and part-time instructors, to participate in a 4-hour virtual workshop where they would design or redesign a research assignment. And then for their participation in the workshop and the understanding that they would use this new assignment in the 2023-2024 academic year, they would be awarded a stipend. So I am going to discuss, I'm just going to give an overview of the Information Literacy Development Program. I know not the most exciting name, but I wanted to be clear about what we were doing in this workshop. So this is an overview of what I had in the application to give instructors an idea of what they would be doing. The Information Literacy Development Program supported Nevada State faculty teaching courses with an assignment that will enable their students to meet the information literacy learning outcomes with 2 things. So 1, designing information literacy learning opportunities in their courses, and 2, preparing or adapting assignments aligned with the information literacy yellow rubric. And so I actually discuss in the next slide what that means. Okay, so at Nevada State, we have the core curriculum. So the core curriculum is the foundation of a student's academic journey at Nevada State. Okay, so there are classes in the core curriculum that will help students think critically about complex topics, communicate effectively, participate in their community, and thrive in a rewarding career. So each class in the core curriculum helps students master what we call the 12 essential learning outcomes, or as I mentioned, yellow essential learning outcomes, which are organized into 3 categories. Information literacy is in the critical thinking category, and we've defined it as the ability to identify, locate, skeptically evaluate, and effectively and ethically use information to inform a decision or solve a problem. And so each essential learning outcome has a rubric to guide the instructor and how their class will meet this essential learning outcome. And so here is the information literacy rubric that is used for that outcome. There are 4 categories: critically evaluate information, critically evaluate sources, attribution of information, and use information effectively and ethically to accomplish a specific purpose. And so, and depending on the class or the course, will depend on whether the kind of, is it emerging, developing, proficient, or exemplary. And then so like faculty wanting the information literacy ELO to be attached to their class would need to demonstrate how students will learn these skills and at what level. And then that actually can be through an assignment they have in class, which is why I attached the workshop to this ELO into the core curriculum. So I'm going to talk a little bit about eligibility for the workshop. So everyone was invited, everyone was included. I wanted to reach anyone who had a research assignment or were interested in creating some sort of assignment with a research component for their students. And then by making it virtual, I wanted instructors who, if they didn't live in Las Vegas or you know, they didn't have a chance to like make it for an in-person meeting, especially on a Friday, I would want to give them a chance to participate. So, so for eligibility, faculty teaching a course that has chosen or is considering information literacy as an essential learning outcome. But I also wanted to open it up because not all classes are in the core curriculum. I didn't want to exclude any faculty. So I also opened it up to faculty who are interested in designing or redesigning an assignment that will enable their students to meet the learning outcomes as described in the information literacy rubric. And then again, I'll just reiterate this as a condition of acceptance. Faculty participating in this program, they must use a newly created or revised assignment in the upcoming academic year. Participants, I had a total of 10 faculty participants from 8 different subject areas. I had 1 from history, 1 from communication, 3 from English, 1 from business, 1 from art history, 1 from chemistry, 1 from psychology, and then 1 from philosophy. So I had a variety of faculty from different areas. And then some I had met before, maybe through like a professional development day or like workshops, but then there were also some faculty which I had never met before. So this was, you know, I love that I was able to meet new faculty. And so I think maybe like some reason like only 10, but we are a pretty small institution. And really what mattered for me was that whoever was going to participate, so like these 10 faculty members, you know, I want to see what they could do to integrate information literacy into their assignments that would support their students' information literacy performance. And then so this was actually my program outline for the workshop. I went over library services and resources. And so like I mentioned earlier, I had never met some of them before. So this, I just wanted to refresh everyone in the workshop on how the library supports them as faculty and how we can support their students. And then go overall like the services and resources we provide. And then I spent some time going over information literacy, and really what that means now, especially with AI chatbots. You know, we talked a little bit about what would that mean for students who are doing research, what they want to do research, how would they do that? And then in the third part of the workshop, I went over effective assignment design. which was the TILT framework, transparency in learning and teaching. And then for those of you who are unfamiliar, they're just transparent teaching methods that help students understand how and why they are learning course content in particular ways. They actually have a bunch of great resources for faculty and librarians. And I chose the option to have faculty discuss assignments, learning goals, and design rationale before students begin their assignment, right? Essentially being transparent with the objective of the assignment and what the student needs to do. I also went over examples of scaffolding the assignment in this effective assignment design. I mentioned that students could do an annotated bibliography before their research assignment, or they could have students keep maybe some sort of research diary before writing a research paper. Because I had participants from different disciplines, I wanted to give a variety of examples that would fit their needs, that would fit their course needs and modality. And then the last 2 hours of the workshop was the assignment design and redesign phase. This was dedicated time for faculty to work on their assignment. And then I wanted, with everything fresh in their mind, I really wanted to leave time for them to work on their assignment, whether that was creating a new one or redesigning a previous one. So here I actually have an image from the Google Jamboard that was used in the workshop. So we actually had a lot of discussions during the workshop. We had one about AI chatbots and academia. I asked if they had any concerns about it, which I think started a great conversation because, some mentioned that they use it for this purpose, or they mentioned they were worried about how students will use it. I also asked faculty what they wanted their students to get out of the assignments. And so that is what this Google Jamboard is about. And I'll just read a couple and then I can let you read the rest. But there was, let's see. So there was a couple about credible, journalism and newspapers. So the ability to know how to consume credible newspaper sources to make important investment decisions. There was also, some faculty wanted their students to have the comfort and confidence reviewing sources for research. There was, and then I really like this one. It says, I want them to feel confident finding secondary information so that research is fun or at least not daunting. And so it was great to know that faculty wanted their students to learn these skills as much as we want to teach them, right? I think these are topics that we cover in our information literacy sessions, topics we cover in our research consultations, in the videos that some of you mentioned that you have for this. And so now, okay, I wanted to get into the collaboration that happened during the workshop. So one of my goals with the workshop was that faculty would work with each other or work with me in redesigning or creating an assignment. And I knew that some would want to work independently, and that's totally fine, totally understandable. So this happened during the assignment design and redesign phase. I allotted 2 hours for faculty to, again, either work with each other, work with myself, or their liaison librarian. We had 2 on hand, and then, or they could work independently. So some of the collaboration outcomes from the workshop and this part of the workshop was that, so we had 3 English faculty work together, which made sense. They were all from English 102, so they worked together in a group on redesigning their assignments. I met one-on-one with 3 faculty members. We had 1 faculty meet with their liaison librarian, and then 3 faculty worked independently. So I think, you know, in terms of collaboration, it was a success. And so because this workshop was in April, so a couple of months ago, participants do have this summer to continue refining their assignments. So I don't have details on all of the assignments. Okay. But like based off the meetings I had with faculty and the one that the liaison librarian had with that faculty member, I just wanted to come back to the initial questions, right? I had a few slides ago about how the workshop could be an answer for them. And so library instruction, right, could more faculty benefit from this service? And so we knew the answer was yes. I can tell you that at least one instructor is redesigning their assignment that includes an information literacy session. This instructor previously did not want to request a session, but after the workshop and then after working with their liaison librarian, we were able to relay the benefits of it for their students. So we are working together so that we can tailor the session to that exact assignment. And then research consultations, right? I asked myself, how can we best help students in these consultations? And so I met with 2 instructors who both teach online classes. They redesigned their assignments to have students meet with us for research consultations because these are online students. So we weren't able to do an information literacy session. But we worked together to ensure that the assignment prompt gave clear directions and had a clear objective as to what, the objective of the assignment. So I'll give you an example. One was actually from the chemistry faculty. She wanted an assignment where her students would pick a debatable scientific topic. And then one of the topic examples was, are GMOs bad for you? And so she wanted her students to be able to find one scholarly article, right, that would answer that question, and then maybe find a popular article that, would also answer the question. And then she wanted her students to be able to, note the differences between the 2 articles. And so I thought that was, just a great assignment, especially in the STEM field and amid all the misinformation that's out there. And so I worked with her to create this assignment that would address the objectives of the assignment, as well as making sure that the librarians were prepared for these research consultations so that we can maximize, those 30-minute appointments that we have. So I also wanted to expand support. I think someone mentioned in the chat about how can we support students in online classes, right? Because we can't do one-shot instruction for them. And then aside from videos, what else could we do? And so I actually worked with another instructor to redesign her discussion post prompts. And this was for an online class. And so she wanted her students to cite at least one source in their discussion board post. And so I worked with her to include directions on how to search the library in the prompt, as well as include resources in there that would help them. So this was directly in the discussion post prompt instead of being on another page that was, I believe, hidden in the course module. And so having those directions in the prompt, I think that will help for students. And then the last question I have for myself was will this be impactful, or can this approach be effective and sustainable? In terms of effective, in terms of working, collaborating with faculty, yes, I think that was impactful. Sustainable, hopefully. I think that I will need to get some more data as far as like looking at those assignments, looking at the rest of the assignments from the workshop, and looking at maybe like student work to determine if this was impactful. And so I wanted to talk about some takeaways from the workshop. So collaboration. So this was great. I think my goal of having faculty either work with each other or work with me or with the library, work with the liaison librarian. I think that worked out great. We were able to really, redesign these assignments that, using the TIL framework, using scaffolding to really help students do research and understand, the process of research. And then there was, I think this confirmed the interest and need of information literacy, especially that Google Jamboard that I showed earlier. All of those things, right, are skills that we want to teach students, right, as librarians. And so the fact that faculty wanted the same thing, I think that just confirmed that there is a need for this, and that, we should be open to finding ways to integrate information literacy where we can. And then, I mentioned one thing. So small groups are great too. I think that we tend to put pressure on ourselves to have like big turnouts and big attendance. We put a lot of pressure on numbers. But I think small groups are great too. It really allowed for a robust like discussion of topics because there was a total of 11 of us. That was including me. Faculty could just unmute themselves and share a conversation, and then that led to another person unmuting and then responding to that comment. And then the chat wasn't having like 100 messages in there for everyone to read. So I think that like small groups are great too for something like information literacy workshop. And then I wanted to also talk about some of the questions and maybe adapting the workshop in the future, because I don't know that this workshop was sustainable. I did mention earlier that participants were awarded a stipend for the workshop, and I know that that isn't feasible everywhere. I don't even know that's feasible next year. So I would definitely adapt this workshop where maybe to see how we can get a faculty to participate in it without grant funds, right? So I'm thinking that we could adapt this and make this a workshop series, like instead of 4 hours, which is a really long time, could we shorten it to 1 hour workshop series or workshops? Where in that 1 hour you can focus really on like one particular skill, because I think that in the 4-hour workshop, there was a lot to go over, which I think also was a lot of information for them. So I think that like 1 hour workshops could work well. I think that in the future, maybe offering as like a workshop with lunch provided would be great, because who doesn't like food? So I think that that's how I would adapt it for the future. And then how to reach more faculty. So I know I said I had 10 participants. I think that maybe tailoring it to a specific discipline could help to reach more faculty. I think an example is like, say I was like the liaison librarian for history. Could I host a 1 hour workshop provided, with lunch, tailored to the history department to talk about how to integrate primary resources or secondary resources into their assignments, or how they can redesign their assignment to have students use these resources, and how the library can support students in that process. And then I was even thinking that, we could also start an information literacy community. There's a lot of so faculty learning communities. Like, could we start an information literacy one where you would keep this going and have workshops every month or every other month, instead of what I did was just like a one-time 4-hour workshop. And then really, trying to find out what would intrigue faculty, what would make them want to come to this. How can we make resources, library resources and services sound fun, right? I think that we can actually get a lot more collaboration with this approach as well. I had 2 liaison librarians available during the workshop. I think in the future, if I held something like this, or even just the 1-hour workshop I was talking about, I would include all the liaison librarians. I was a bit overwhelmed with the one-on-one meetings, just because everyone wanted to meet at the same time. And I think that it was a missed opportunity, and I'll say this was on me, a missed opportunity for the other liaison librarians to work with a faculty member. I think this is where we are building relationships in these kind of more smaller, intimate settings. So I think, like, yeah, in the future, definitely try to include all of your librarians, especially the subject librarians, so that they can be matched with their assigned areas. And then maybe, like, could there be more collaboration in the same discipline? And I think that, like, could we do an information literacy session in the lower level course that would teach the necessary information literacy skills as students progress in this, like, degree or program? I think that, we could work more with departments on integrating information literacy. And so I think that we just have to be, we just need a clear approach on how it would benefit them and their students. And then, so lastly, I think this is a really important one for any sort of, like, if you're planning to have a workshop, whatever you're trying to do with integrating information literacy, if it's a faculty development thing, is don't forget to create a survey and have them completed at the end. I think, this will inform you if you should continue it, if you should change it, if you should assess it, and, what to do for the future. I think really this helps a lot. We tend to, like, try to, like, think about or guess what faculty need from us. And I think surveys help, them tell us what they need. And then have them completed at the end, like during the workshop. Because if you have it, if you send the survey over later on, like later on the day or next week, you won't get as many responses. And I've learned my lesson. So try to have them completed at the end. I wanted to thank you for attending my session today. I hope you were able to take away some approaches that will help you integrate information literacy through faculty development, or just even ideas on, how we promote information literacy. And then I actually have my contact information here. If you wanted to, I am doing research on how impactful this workshop was. And so I will be assessing student assignments to see, if this helped if this improved their information literacy performance. So yeah, if you wanted to reach out to me, I can, keep you updated on this process.